What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more classical music, and indeed, we're back with the third movement to Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Eroica, as conducted by Otto Klemperer and the Philharmonia, and performed by the Philharmonia Orchestra. So this third movement, notably shorter than the first two. I think both of the first two movements were over like 16 minutes. They're quite long. This one is much shorter. It's a Scherzo, although it's also given a Allegro Vivace and trio designation. But it's only a little over 6 minutes, which, again, the fourth movement goes back to being much longer. That's about 13 minutes, so this movement does stand out in terms of its temporal length compared to the rest of the symphony. Nevertheless, let's get right to it. No need to set up the composer or the conductor. I've talked about Beethoven in multiple videos. I've talked about Klemperer in the two movements I've already reacted to, so let's just get right to it. This is the Scherzo, Allegro Vivace, and Trio, the third movement of Beethoven's Symphony No. 3 in E-flat, Opus 55, the Eroica. Mentioned it before, like the CDs that I play, I have a harder time getting the volume levels right, so if it's a little loud or quiet in parts, I apologize. And it's a lot easier to gauge the sound of my turntables because that's what my system is set up to use primarily. Very celebratory. Different feel than the first two movements. Certainly than the second. I love when Beethoven does that. It's either he has a theme that'll work its way across the orchestra, or he'll have two parts of the orchestra like in a dialogue with each other. I feel like that's been in something that I've seen. The sort of main, like, overflowing celebratory phrase of this. I've heard it used in something. Strings and woodwinds having a soft conversation in the middle of the symphony. I like that brass writing there. It wasn't like overly intense, it was just, it's the right support. this movement feels much less ambiguous, or it feels much less complicated. It feels more like a genuine respite, like a genuine rejuvenation, restoration of spirit. So I talked about in the second movement, climbing up the hill and overcoming adversity and so on. It feels like, the protagonist has been rewarded, like there has been fulfillment for that struggle. And generally this is just sort of oozing with excitement, celebration, enthusiasm. A desire to do more. Is that a flute over the top? I mean, it's come back 4 or 5 times now, but that was the best one. I was sort of sleeping on it in that moment. Right near the end already. By contrast, it feels like such a short installment in this story, because the first 2 legs of the story were such lengthy, grueling journeys. Not grueling, but they took a lot out of me as a listener, in a good way. The timpanist. Well, again, it feels sort of remarkably short, given the first 2 legs of this symphonic journey. But I do really like that, and I think it's exactly what the listener needs after going through that second movement, which again, it was very complicated, and there were moments where it felt like we were overcoming, but then moments where we felt like we were against it and having to climb and struggle and face setbacks and so on. So this movement, I think, is exactly what the listener and the sort of spirit of the piece needs, which is to sort of celebrate how far it's already come and to acknowledge the good work and effort that's been put in. At least that's sort of the sentiment and vibe that I was feeling during that movement. Let me know if you have a different interpretation. I'm really interested to hear the fourth movement. As I mentioned, someone named Dave commented on the first movement on my old channel, although I have since posted the first movement here as well. But they commented that, for them, there's a lot going on with this piece, and that a lot of it relates to Beethoven himself. This is a very tumultuous period in his life, especially psychologically. And this person was basically arguing that the hero theme, it sort of reappears not only in the symphony a number of times, including in the fourth movement, but they mentioned there's some piano works that he's done where there's variations of the theme. So this is obviously something that was in Beethoven's head and was sort of stewing in his brain for a while, and that he felt he needed to express or articulate in different ways more than once. So again, I'm very excited to hear the fourth movement. I do know it. I have heard this symphony before, but again, I don't know it nearly as well as the seventh or the fourth or the eighth or indeed the fifth or the ninth. Although I probably know it a little bit better than the first and second. As I said, the first 3 Beethoven symphonies I don't know nearly as well as the remainder, which might make it interesting. Maybe after I'm done with this one, I might go back to number 1 or number 2. But either way, I am going to finish off this one, so hopefully you're here for the fourth movement. Let me know what you thought of this one. Let me know if you have a suggestion. Hey, instead of doing the first or second symphony, I really like the eighth or the fourth or whatever it is. Just let me know. I'm very excited that some of these classical reactions have got a bit of interaction. Admittedly, more on my last channel, but the reality is I'm just trying to look forward and keep putting out content, and hopefully some of the same stuff will start happening here. And indeed, if I ever get back to about 250 subscribers and, where every video I'm posting is getting maybe 15, 20, 30 views or whatever, I'll be very happy. I'll feel like, it was justified, putting in the effort on this other channel. So hopefully you're here for it. I really appreciate those who are. Cheers for watching. Cheers for listening. Have a good day. Have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.